Can you give me a little bit on this?
Certainly. What happened is that Wade was the founder, and his brother was working for ACORN, and he worked for the financial agency, and he embezzled about $1 million. It was found out. They covered it up, and he continued on the payroll for ACORN for the next almost 8 years until it was divulged, and then he was forced to resign. But it was like, what happened to the money? Where is the accountability? And not only that, but the people who knew about it, the management staff, the head staff, and the president all knew about it. They're still there.
Why aren't there more people, Marcella, like the two of you and all the people that are standing with you and your board? How come we don't see you on television? Why aren't there more people standing up?
I think because the mission, the stated mission of ACORN is a wonderful mission. Who doesn't want to lift people out of poverty? Who doesn't want to make the playing field more level? Who can walk down the street in a major city and not see homeless people?
But is it apparent when you're inside ACORN, you're being used? It seems to me you're taking people up off the street, the lowest, and chewing them up, using them, then throwing them and saying, well, it was a rogue employee, and discarding them. I mean, Karen, you said earlier, it's abuse what's happening.
It isn't just the employees that are being abused, it's the members who are being abused.
Well, no, I'm saying you guys are too, yeah, but
no, I meant
yeah, I know.
That they're out forced to work, that they come up and say, this is what our mission is, and they don't even know it's their mission. They don't realize that ACORN is getting big bucks for setting them out as a shock troop.
So, Marcella, is it just the mission? Is it just that they want to do good? Are they aware when you're inside? Are you aware?
You know, you have to understand what I perceived was the mentality, and I might have been wrong. But in war, there are casualties. There are always casualties in war. And so for many of these people, they perceive this almost as though this is a war, and in war.
Is it about, you know, we saw these videos and it was like, you know, we're going to have Obama. That's how a lot of people perceive ACORN, as just a movement for Obama. Do you think it's being used for that, or used just for money at some higher spiderweb sort of level?
You know, in Washington, D.C., we had a meeting. I had a regular monthly meeting the first Saturday of each month, and I asked them to endorse candidates. Mm-hmm. And we selected to endorse Barack Obama on the Democratic side. But on the Republican side, we endorsed John McCain. And yet, for some reason, it was never reported out. But my members will tell you that in Washington, D.C., we not only supported Barack Obama, but we supported John McCain on the Republican side.
I said to you guys earlier when I was sitting in my office, I said, you know what, forget about the listener here, or the viewer. Put your attention onto the one person that doesn't care about getting credit, isn't trying to make a political point, isn't left, isn't right, just is, and is there to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States and its people. Which one of you guys is going to address that one person that might be watching in Congress or someplace and just say, help?
Help. Help. We need your support. We need you to help us figure out how to stop the abuse, how to empower people, and to look at the situation as it is, and not look at it as a minuscule voter fraud thing. It's much larger than that.
Wow. Ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if you don't mind,
I would just like to say one thing. I'm sorry.
No.
Excuse me. I would just like to say that ACORN does not need to be funded with any more taxpayer dollars until we find out what happened to the last taxpayer dollars that ACORN was funded with. That is what we're calling for. We want the organization to survive. We want the organization to flourish.
Does it ever occur to you that you're in danger for saying things like that? Do you realize how much money is at stake? Well, I said to you earlier, They say, ACORN says, we're not going to take any stimulus dollars. You two laughed. Why, Karen?
Well, because there are more than 300 organizations under the ACORN umbrella. And they might be getting it under another umbrella organization.
And we don't want to hold with the exact number of organizations under the umbrella, but because we know that that is fungible, so, you know, we can say 300, they'll say 199, so hence everything else we said was wrong. We don't want to be caught in the minutia of making an absolute account of how many organizations there are, because the truth of the matter is we don't know. And if we don't know, it is highly unlikely anyone else knows.
Holy cow. Ladies, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Also with us is from the Washington Examiner, reporter Kevin Mooney. Kevin, what did we miss here?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Sure.
Well, they should not look to Congress for salvation, because while we have current ACORN members or former ACORN members who don't want the organization to be funded, Congress is actually making it easier for ACORN to be funded. Just yesterday on the House floor, Representative Barney Frank passed an amendment that would actually dilute and eviscerate an earlier amendment offered by his colleague, Representative Michelle Bachmann, that would preclude organizations like ACORN under criminal investigation from getting federal funds.
So what happened with Conyers today? Why would Conyers come out and say, you know, there's no reason to investigate? I mean, again, these guys investigated, you know, the cameras and the playbooks of the Patriots games. They were going after steroids for months and months and months. ACORN, steroids is important. Voter fraud and embezzlement and tax dollars being flushed down the toilet, that's not worth an investigation?
What's interesting is both of those members of Congress are changing their position while new indictments are coming down. There were new indictments in Nevada on Monday. There was one in Pennsylvania just the other day while the Frank Amendment was actually moving on the House floor. So if there wasn't so much money involved, it would actually be comical. Barney Frank, for several hours, unknowingly almost became a teabagger, because he had initially voted in favor of that amendment on a voice vote and then reversed his position. He accidentally became a taxpayer advocate until he was reminded of what his actual role was.
Hang on just a second. Marcella, it just reminded me. Tell me the story of Freddie and Fannie being in your office the week that ACORN and SEIU were protesting AIG.
I don't know if it was that week, but they were definitely in my office meeting, and I was definitely told that by someone in my office, and I believe it to be true.
What were they?
I don't know the content of the meeting. Obviously, I was not allowed. You know, of course, that once they removed us off the board of directors, I was banned from entering my own office. I cannot enter my office in D.C. I went to enter it with several of my members, mostly male. We were kicked out.
Kevin, any idea what would Freddie and Fannie, because this goes back to you know, that Freddie and Fannie, when they gave the bonuses to those guys just a week later, after all of the marches and everything else, bigger bonuses went to Freddie and Fannie. I said, the week before, I said, why is ACORN and SEIU protesting? Why are they busing people? What's going on? This is misdirection. Something else is going on. As it turns out, it was the bonuses of Freddie and Fannie. Now we find out that they were in the offices of ACORN around the same time, whether they were connected or not. I mean, do you know anything about this?
I don't know about that in particular. Unfortunately, some of this is water under the bridge. ACORN already has access to billions of dollars of taxpayer money as a result of the stimulus package passed earlier this year. I think the critical battle is going to be over the upcoming HUD budget, where there's billions more available to ACORN, and you now have over 200 members of Congress on record saying that despite all the criminal investigations, ACORN should have access to taxpayer money.
Okay, all of you guys, stay in touch with me, and we'll stay in touch with you, and we will keep you informed. We'll be back in just a second.
I guess I'm sort of an all-American boy when it comes to food.